In your experience, what skills or mindsets are most critical for empowering youth to become change makers in their communities?
There's two parts to this. One is what was my journey, but the second most important part is what I have learned from working with children who are now change makers and who have always been change makers in the communities that they belong to. I think the first shift that I had to make to my mindset when I was getting on this journey of entrepreneurship from being a teacher to an entrepreneur was to go from helplessness to action. And so when I started teaching, and one of the pivotal moments that made me question what I was doing was, unfortunately, I lost two of my students. And one was to community violence, another one was to a disease that I had recovered from when I was a child. And I think in that moment, I felt extremely helpless because when we came back to the classrooms in the next day, it felt like we almost had to pretend like, we're only here to learn math and, solve problems and read English or language, when actually my children needed a space where we could talk about what had happened, the fact that they had lost a dear friend or a sibling. And then I saw how this affected the parents and the community at large, but yet there was no space to talk about this. And so I went through this whole phase of, feeling like this was too much out of my control. I don't know if I can solve for this problem, to then learning that this was a more systemic problem. This wasn't something that was happening to me, but something that exists, but has just not been identified enough to be solved. And then to taking action, where I finally found my co-founders and we decided to begin creating spaces in classrooms where children could practice skills to cope with these things, right? So I think that journey is extremely important from a mindset perspective. In terms of the skills, what we've learned from our work over the last 7 years now in classrooms with children, the three most important skills that I think can be extremely pivotal for young people and children. First is building resilience. So really trying when it's more challenging to succeed, right? So really keep on trying, keep on being gritty. I think that is something that's extremely important. The second is relationship skills, building strong allies around us who can support us, especially when we're doing something difficult or going against the grain. In our children's context or young people's context, it is, for example, negotiating with family members for girls, for example, to pursue higher education so that they can fund. And for that, you need allies in the community. And the third is learning motivation, to constantly be curious about what more can be done and what more can be achieved and what more can be learned is extremely important. And it's also important to find purpose in the thing that we are doing on a daily basis. So that is in a wholesome way. And to your first curiosity around the happiness curriculum, we were very honored to be a part of a group that worked with the government of Delhi many years ago and continue to work with them on a daily well-being class, which is called the happiness curriculum. And it's been very interesting by the way the government trusted young people and young folks like me to work in that space collaboratively.